for this fight, I think that you know, my biggest obstacle, I think, would just is, you know, kind of overcoming my own personal faith in BJ Penn, because, you know, after all, he's pretty much a guy, you know, I don't look up to a lot of guys, but you know, I've looked up to BJ Penn for a long time. But he came from my school, you know, you gotta understand, he came from my academy, and you know, whether he says he does or whoever says he does, he doesn't. That's where he came from. So that's where he started learning jiu-jitsu, and I actually had his first mixed martial arts fight on video. I don't even know if he's ever seen it, but I had it on a you know, on a tape, like what, you know, cassette tape. And you know, I used to watch that before anybody ever even saw him fight in the UFC. We trained together too before, so that's kind of, a lot of that is really you know, the difficult part I think about this fight. You know, other than that he's a great fighter, and it's gonna be probably a lot harder for me, you know, fighting this guy, because you know, it makes it a lot easier for a guy like George, who goes out there, he's going to go out there and hold him, you know, and stall for the rounds. But I go out there, I fight, you know. So he knows me, I know him too. He knows, you know, he knows what I do, I know what he does, and yeah, you know, you know, I wouldn't have picked this fight by choice, that's for sure. I think he'll probably try to slip the jab, throw the overhand right, you know, make a body lock or a single leg takedown, you know. Maybe push me against a fence, you know. I think I'm going to have to deal with a lot of that type of stuff. And it's BJ Penn, you know, so it's a real difficult fight, especially for somebody like me who's actually going to go and fight and not just try to hold him and win rounds. I would say I have the advantage if this fight goes in the later rounds, because I think that he's coming up in weight, you know. I'm more of an endurance athlete just in general than most MMA fighters, but that's just, but you know, there's not very many later rounds. There's only 3-round fights, so, you know, there's always extra pressure on me, you know. I don't get a lot of support, and you know, not fan support, but like just, you know, support as in, you know, I don't get a lot of sponsorship support. I mean, I like to thank my sponsors and everything. They hook me up. I make a good, you know, make good money for my sponsors, and but, you know, as far as people coming to me, trying to find me and offering me gigs and things and interviews or press or publicity, I don't have a lot of people helping me out with that department. So I just got to, you know, do the best I can with it, and you know, just try and get in there and do some of the stuff that these other guys are doing. You know, they're all, you know, on camera, and they're doing the whole Twitter thing with each other, and I think it's, you know, I think it's kind of funny or whatever. I think that it's pretty funny that a lot of these guys all play along with it. I'm into, you know, playing by the rules or whatever, but, you know, it's like everybody's on. It's like everybody's on this. Everybody that fights in the UFC, they're like on the same team or something, and they fight each other. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's good for fighting. You know, I believe BJ is a much more dangerous and a better fighter than GSP. See, if I lose a fight to George, it's him holding me and not fighting the whole time. If I lose to BJ Penn, he's probably going to either take me out with the right hand, or, you know, he's going to go on top in some way and then end up in position, you know, probably for him, you know, he'll probably want to put a mount, take the back, put a choke, you know, finish the fight. And, you know, George is just going to look to just do enough to win the fight, every fight that he does. And I doubt that would have worked out with me, you know, the same way that it does a lot of the other fighters. I think I have the tools and what it takes to make something happen in that 5 rounds there. And so, yeah, that's really disappointing for me that I'm not fighting George St-Pierre, because I was supposed to fight for the title. So, you know, and I didn't back. That wasn't, you know, I didn't go back on that. That wasn't me. You know what I mean? They went back on that. So, you know, people want to blame me for spoiling that deal, but they spoiled that deal for the fans. It wasn't that I spoiled that deal. You know, if you tell me what to do, I'll do it. You know, nobody's telling me, hey, show up for this press conference or you're not fighting. It's like, yeah, right. Like, I'm not going to show up, and people are going to know that I don't want to fight. I do want to fight, and it's why I've been fighting my whole life, training and representing my team. I'm not trying to let my whole team down, and the rest of the fans for that matter too. I want to just go in there and do my best, you know, and you know, I hope the best for my team. I hope the best for BJ Penn. I just gonna go out there and do my best with what I have to work with. You know, I had a rough couple of months, and you know, it's just way different than any other sort of fight prep that I've ever been through. So, you know, but I got some good training in. But I'm gonna Ymir around with training, so I'm always gonna have good training. It was more of all of the the other stuff and people giving me issues, or I mean just kind of stressing me out over what happened or what did happen or what didn't happen. It's just kind of hard to train through all that stuff. But yeah, it could maybe come down to who wants it more. And at this point in time, that might be my biggest issue, because I've been doing this for a while, and I don't need this, you know what I mean? I really don't. But I'm here to fight, and I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna back down from the fight.